Hi everybody, this is Gijs again with another review and I hope you are doing well. This time it's a review coming from Sweden and there's a reason for this, because I am testing a Swedish tent. It is the Fjällräven Abisko Friluft 2. A two-person tent for the 3 seasons of the year, or better for the more summery-like conditions, but I will tell you more about this in the review itself. But the most special thing about this tent is that it is absolutely PFAS-free, which I think is absolutely a bonus. So if you are looking for this kind of a tent, then I hope this review is useful to you. Enjoy it! And welcome back to the review on the Fjällräven Abisko Friluft 2 two-person 3-season tent. But before I start with the review itself, it might be polite to introduce myself to those of you who just tuned into my channel for the very first time. My name is Gijs. I am a Dutch outdoor gear, bike and sometimes gadget reviewer, and I also sometimes review the stuff that I use to shoot my kind of videos. And I do my work totally independent, so that means that nobody is paying me for my reviews. And if you value this kind of reviewing, then please give the video a like when you've seen it, and also consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, because with more of you it's just more fun to make these kind of reviews. And now let's start with the review itself. I always like to start with the pack size and the weight. The pack size, I measured it at a 17 centimeters in this direction and 49 centimeters in this direction. And that's a little bit different than what Fjällräven claims, because they claim 16 by 46 centimeters. So I am a little bit bigger, which is a big deal? No, not at all. For the weight, Fjällräven claims a weight of 1900 grams, and I measured on my precise scale 1978.2 grams, which is slightly less than 100 grams more than that Fjäll claims. Is that a big deal either? No, not at all. It's still a very lightweight tent for 2 persons, and I always have got a sort of a number of 1 kilo per person if you were looking for a tent. And now I'm not sure, but the wind is really picking up at the moment. I don't know if you hear this in the microphone, but it's maybe it's going to ruin this whole session, but we'll continue. Now if we look at the individual weights, then I will have to take everything out of the stuff bag. And one thing about the stuff bag, as you can see, it is nicely filled up, but that also means that it is sometimes quite hard to get the tent in. I would rather see a more spacious stuff bag. But now let's get it out. Also this, it's just not nice to do. The stuff bag itself, I measure this at 75.4 grams. And that is including some extra guidelines and also some repair stuff that is in this little baggie. Repair patches and of course a spare repair thingy for if you break a pole, which is absolutely nice that Fjällräven does this. Not everybody does this with a tent. Hey, but they are not the most cheapest of all tents. So now let's put that one aside. Then you can see how I packed it. I put it into one big roll. This is the pouch with all the pegs. I measured a weight of 172.2 grams for this one. And there are 12 aluminum pegs in there with nice pulling thingies. Then, as you see, I roll this tent, and then you've got the poles also in their stuff bag. And for the poles, basically the same. The stuff bag is a little bit cramped and it doesn't open that easy. The poles, I weighted them at 402.1 grams. And then we've got the fly which is over here, which is a weight of 614.5 grams. And we've got the inner tent, which is this part, and I weighted that one on my precise scale at 714.4 grams. And that gives a total of 1978.2 grams in total. But now, this is very rocky. These pegs are very nice. They're made by Duck, by the way, the Korean pole manufacturer and peg manufacturer, but they will not go into rock. So over there is a nice spot that is a little bit softer where I can pitch this tent perfectly. So let's pitch it. Like I mentioned, I need to have a different spot for the tent, so that's basically behind me. But because of the wind, and now it's not that much anymore, let's hope it stays this way. These bags have got the tendency to blow away in the wind. So take a peg and put it somewhere out of the way and hope that there's not too much rocky ground. So now that one won't blow away. The first thing that I always like to do is get the poles out. And again, this is also a bag that blows away very easily. And this tent consists of 2 poles. Basically it's 4 poles or maybe 3, but you've got 2 sets. And this one, it's a third one. This is the repair pole that if you break it, you can replace one of these with this one. You take the elastic band out and then you will be fine. Now again, put this one back and put this one on the same peg. Now this is the short mid pole, and this will explain itself later. And this is what I like to call a spider design pole, and everything is built, now you see why I mean spider, around this central part. But now let's do this first, like so. Oh, and what you should know is that before I started doing this, I took most uneven things out of the pitching spot so that we can have a comfortable night. Now you see here, this is what I mean with a spider pole. It's all around this central hub and it goes like this. And now you see the notch up, but it should be pointing downwards. Lay that aside. Now again, the fly sheet, put that one together with the pouch peg also aside, and let's take some pegs. Now, what is different with the Friluft 2 from a lot of other tents from basically Nordic Hemisphere countries is that in this case we pitched the inner tent first, and I measured a sort of nice platform. Of course, before shooting this video, the stone marks the spot. Where did I leave the pegs? They're over there. So what I do is just peg this one there. Where are they? And what you can do now is put the poles on top of the tent, because then you will not step on them and it will not blow away that easy. Ha, that one went in easy, like so. I need more space. Like so. And like so. Now, what is a bit strange is that it's got a spider-like design, and it has got one point that is red marked, and that's one point that's red marked. Which means this is of course one pole direction, diagonal, which is perfectly logical. Except for the fact that I would like to see that there would be a red colored code on the pole ends as well, so that you know which one goes in where. Now it's not that important in daytime, but when it's night and raining and the wind is blowing very fiercely, now this is what I mean again with the spider-like design. Take the pegs out of the way, and what you do now, what I do most of the time, is I find this central piece, put it on there, and then it's just a matter of connecting all the clips of the inner tent. This is very straightforward. Most tents work like this when you've got this way of pitching, like so. The third pole, it connects into a plastic clip on this part, and then it needs to go into a plastic clip on this part, like so. And the pole goes on top of the spider-like cross poles. And now you've got this nice shape creating a lot of headroom, which is of course nice if you are in the tent. Now, the thing with pitching a tent this way, I always call this the American way, because most MSR tents are designed in this way. A lot of other US tents are designed in this way, which is nice because in this way you can use the inner tent solo without the fly or the outer tent on top of this when it's nice weather like this and it's not getting too cold. This is an absolute perfect tent to protect you from mosquitoes, insects, whatsoever. And in this case you'll see that there is a top layer of fabric. Even if you got some dew in the morning, it will not affect you in the tent. Your sleeping bag will not get damp. That's the positive thing of this story. And I'm shooting this video now on a nice day in Sweden. It's not raining, but when it is raining and you need to pitch the tent in this way, it's absolutely not what I prefer. Then I would like to have a tent where you pitch the outer tent first, then the inner tent, or basically together. Or where you can also take, when it is raining, the inner tent out before you take the outer tent down. In that way you can get as many stuff dry inside your backpack, your bicycle, panniers, whatever you're taking to maintain your voyage. But that is way easier. And in this way, if it's raining, I need to take the fly sheet off first, and then everything like this will get wet. And especially when it is a little bit colder, a wet inner tent is going to be absolutely cold when you are pitching it in the evening again, because it wants to dry. It will drain all the energy out of your body, because you are the only person or the only energy source that creates or produces heat to get the moisture out of this. But like I said in the beginning, the Friluft 2 is a 3-season tent and mainly designed for beautiful, maybe Scandinavian sunny weather. Like I mentioned in my introduction, the poles, they are made by Duck, and it's a Korean brand, and I think it's one of the major tent pole manufacturers, and they're also the manufacturer of the popular Helinox chairs, tables. I've got some reviews on my YouTube channel on them as well. If you like sitting in comfort without the weight, watch that video. I'll put it in the description below. And these poles, they are the type Duck Featherlight NFL Green. And green means that in the production of the poles, and especially the anodizing process to prevent corrosion, way less water is used. So in that way they are a little bit more environmentally friendly, which is of course logical if you take in account that the Friluft 2 is also totally free of PFAS, and that Fjällräven is of course a pretty sustainable company as far as you can be in the outdoors and producing stuff, of course. The pole diameter, if you're interested, is 9.3 millimeters, which is quite substantial. Now let's get the fly sheet on top of this and make the tent complete. Now it's a matter of getting the fly and basically throwing it over the tent, which is not always easy, especially not when it's windy. And this is also a little bit what I mean, that if you have a tent where you pitch the outer tent first, the poles and the pole sleeves are mostly in this part. So that makes pitching way easier. What is nice is that the poles might not be color coded here, but on the straps that connects the fly or the outer tent to the inner tent, it is, and it's a strap here. And then this one is normally regularly black. Tie it down a little bit. On the rear there is a red one again, of course. And over here there is a black one again. That's the big pro, or the big bonus of symmetrical tents. Now we've got this center pole. There is a zipper, of course, here, which is a little bit of a pity that I cannot use the pulling tab on the outside because there is none. But now you've got this pulling thingy, and that pulls over the end of the clip where the pole is. And now we have to do it like this, and we do the same on the other side. So in that respect it is a two-way zipper, but it would have been nice if that pulling thingy would also have been on the outside of the tent. And basically all I need now is two more pegs, and like so. And because it is quite a rocky ground, I need two rocks basically to hold those pegs a little bit more tight. Let's put one over there, and one on the other side. And now this one can be a little bit more neat, I hope. But it is difficult with rocks underneath this small layer of turf. Now, let's open the tent from this side, because now it looks like you're done. But I'm not. Now, what is absolutely important now is that on the inside you will see that there are these Velcro loops. And on the other side of the Velcro loop you will find the attachment point for the guy line. Now, if you pitch the guy line like this, then you will see that it will pull on the fabric and not on the pole. So you have to put the Velcro around the pole, like so. And now when it's windy, it will pull the pole and not only the tent fabric, which is of course what you want. There's one, there's another one. Doubles 4 makes 8 Velcros. And this is something that I absolutely don't like doing when it is raining. So that's why I say, like, if you are camping a lot in northern countries or in foul weather, buy a tent that pitches the outer tent and the inner tent simultaneously, or the outer tent first. Now I'll do all the little Velcros now. Don't bother with it. So I've connected all the Velcro loops and I used all the pegs to peg out the guy lines, except for that one, because this is where I will be walking in and out the whole time, and since the weather is absolutely fantastic, I don't even need all the guy lines. Let's talk a little bit more about the technical details. Now, one thing I already mentioned are the guy lines. The guy lines, they are made out of Dyneema, which is an incredibly strong synthetic material, and the strength that they are able to hold is 160 kilograms, and this is of course according to what Fjällräven states on their website. Next to that, there is a reflective yarn woven into the guy lines, so when it's nighttime you will be able to find your tent, will be able to find the entrance, and you will not need to trip over a guy line when it's dark. But now it's mid-June, so we're getting to the longest day. Here in Scandinavia, we are way up north in the neighborhood of Östersund. It doesn't really get dark here at night, so I won't be needing these, and my wife will not be needing these either tonight. Now, you might be curious about the tent materials. The inner tent, the main part, the green part, it is made out of a 15 denier ripstop polyamide. And you see the green here, but also on the top part that I showed you earlier when pitching the tent, that is the same material. Then the mesh, this is a 20 denier polyester. Now, if we go to the floor, that is a 40 denier polyamide, and it has got a PU coating to make it 100% waterproof. And during the way that we've been using this tent, no water has come through this floor. Fjällräven states a waterproofness of 10,000 millimeters, but I hardly do anything with these numbers. It is waterproof or it just isn't. Now, what is important to know is that the height of the floor, if you want to stand into a puddle or when you're camping in rain and a puddle starts developing underneath your tent, basically this height to the floor, that's what I call the bathtub height, is 15 centimeters. So that is quite high, and in that way you can pitch this tent even in a very wet field. I would not advise you, but it is possible. What is also important is, of course, to know that the tent fabric, also of the inner tent, has got a DWR coating, and this DWR coating, durable water repellency, means that if you've got a droplet of water, maybe a little bit of rain when you're just camping with the inner tent, or just some condensation during the morning, that droplets will bead off the fabric immediately and will not wet the tent itself, so it will remain sort of dry. The outer tent, this one is made out of a 20 denier polyamide, and it has got a silicone coating on the outside and on the inside, so that makes it absolutely 100% waterproof. And also during our time of testing, we did not have any water coming through the fabric itself. Sometimes when you've got a tent that has got a fly that is made out of, for example, polyester, then the seams, they can be sealed with a tape. A taping is on the inside of the seams. With a siliconized tent fabric, that is just not possible because the tape will not stick to the silicone. So in this way, it's just a yarn, which is a swell yarn, that when it gets wet, it swells a little bit, and then you will see that the holes, the punctures made from the needle when sewing the tent fabric, that the yarn swells, and that will close basically the holes. And also on the seams, we did not have any leaks whatsoever. And also the way how this is constructed, it's more layers on top of each other, interlocking basically like this. That also makes that water can hardly get through the fabric. Now, one thing that is maybe really strange to hear, because I said this tent was PFAS-free, and you hear maybe the word silicon, you might think that silicon belongs to the group of PFAS. Well, I had to look into this, and it does not. So in that respect, the fabric is also PFAS-free. So that was material wise. Now let me get my backpack and show you a little bit more about the practical side of the Friluft 2. I will get my stuff out there later, but first let's talk a little bit about the inner tent. Let's open the door and I'll take my shoes off because otherwise it's not what it's supposed to be. Now the space under the awning, it's quite okay for one backpack on this side, and because it's a total symmetrical tent, you've also got the space on the other side. In that respect it's absolutely fine, and the awning depth is about 65 centimeters. But if you've got, for example, two people on a bike with a lot of bike panniers, it's pretty hard to get all of them in there. Now move the shoes out of the way. Lundhags, by the way, shoes from Järpen here, a little bit, I think 80 kilometers down the forest road. But they are, I believe, not made in Sweden anymore, but in Portugal. Now, the tent door opening, it's a huge door. Let me open and close it again. Let me close it and open this again. Because what you will see is that the whole door, if I open it with the two zippers and I fold it to the side, there is a nice storage system here. Log, loop and toggle. The width, it is 120 centimeters and the height is 70 centimeters. So if you are not too tall, then this is absolutely fine. I measure about 1 meter and 69 centimeters, and for me this opening is absolutely fine. The good thing is also that when you're having the tent like this and you're lying here, and you can fold this one backwards as well, and then you've got a very nice panoramic view from the tent, but still being sheltered from a little bit of rain and a little bit of the wind. That said, what is nice to know is that basically this top part, this highest part of the awning, it covers basically the entrance of the tent. So when the wind is blowing from behind, yes, you might get some raindrops touching it, but it will definitely not get too wet, so that is good. And now let me take you inside the tent, but then we need a different camera. Now, like I mentioned, I'm shooting this one with a DJI Action 3 camera with a huge wide angle, because my regular camera does not do this well. I don't have that kind of a lens. The width that I measured is 127 centimeters. And the length, I measured that one at 213 centimeters. Now the height, it is, what was it? 103 centimeters. So for me as a small guy, it's absolutely super. What you can see on the inside as well, not only the huge opening of the door, but also that this part of the bathtub, it goes from, and maybe I should show you this on this side, it goes from low to higher in the corners. And that means that these walls are absolutely high, and that has of course got to do with the fly that has got these arches, and these arches are there to get more ventilation from below the tent. And since this is the waterproof height of the inner tent, when there is wind and rain and it's blowing underneath the arches, it will blow against this waterproof part. So in that way you've got ventilation preventing condensation, but still being waterproof on the inside. Now, what I do like about this tent is especially that there is this large area of mesh, and that the fabric itself is about this high. So that means that even if you're on a campsite, which I hardly ever am, that if you are sleeping without the outer tent, that you still got some decent amount of privacy. If you are like now, sitting inside the tent with the fly on top of it, on that side, if I close the door, I still have this mesh that's 100% see-through mesh and 100% guaranteed against mosquitoes and those freaking little midgets that they have here in Scandinavia. Yeah, you have a fantastic view on the outdoors. What can I show you on the inside more? That is that I was talking about the ventilation already. Here is a zipper in the ceiling. And because of this zipper, I can reach the zipper in the outer tent to open the ventilation from that part. And now I can close it again, so I'm safe from bugs from the outdoors. This is a super construction that you normally see in winter tents. I hardly ever see this in a summer tent, but I do absolutely like it. And now I will probably have to take the camera because I want to show you something in the ceiling. But first, you see no pocket here. Here, if you can see it, there is a pocket. There's on the other side, there's a pocket. Let me take the camera. That might be easier. Oh, let me get it off. Yeah. You see, here is a pocket. Nice for somebody who wears glasses, so I can put my glasses in there at night. This is the toggle system to keep the door nicely rolled away, like I already mentioned. And on the other side, of course, there is this same mesh pocket. But it is only 2 pockets, and that's a little bit on the minimal side for a tent of this quality and also of this price, but later more on the price. Now, what I wanted to show you in the ceiling is that, of course, in the ceiling you've got a nice little storage system here as well, which is absolutely good if you've got some wet socks. And there is this, well, I always call it a washing line, so you can dry your socks or a t-shirt or maybe a towel if you've been swimming in the lake that is outside the tent. Now, this is what I wanted to show you on the inside of the tent. Now I'll get the mattresses in here and our sleeping bags, because this is where we will be spending the night, of course, to show you a little bit more how the interior feels when all the stuff is in there. Now I've got the sleeping stuff in here, and I was just thinking, why did I not make a cup of coffee yet? Because these kind of tent reviews, they're not easy to make, and I always forget to drink, but now I've got everything here. And what you can't see, but I can, this morning I shot a family of geese somewhere in a stream over there, and they're passing by on the big lake at the moment. But now my camera is doing this. Let's first do the coffee. No, let the coffee be the coffee. Let me show you a little bit more on the inside of the tent. Now, with the sleeping bags and the mattresses inside the tent, I've got two Thermarest NXT Neo Air NXTs. They are 60 centimeters wide, if I'm correct, maybe 65. They're mummy models, so they're not square, but they fit in here absolutely nicely. And also with bigger sleeping bags, it's absolutely fine. What you do see also is that there's not any space left. Yeah, maybe some at the headroom because we're small people, for luggage storage. So everything that you have with you, the backpacks, the panniers, you'll need to leave them in the awning side. Vestibule, I don't know how you call it. So in that way it can be a little bit on the small side if you are two big adults. If you're two small people like me and my wife, this is absolutely fine. And this is how we spend the night later on. And I'm really curious if it will get sort of darkish tonight. But now I'm going to have my coffee. Inside the tent I already said something about the ventilation and that you can reach the ventilation openings from inside out. These are two giant ventilation scoops, and that together with the arched sides, which are both on both those sides, but also on the front sides, those are basically two arches, there is a lot of airflow going on, but only when there is wind. I've been camping with this tent in Dutch circumstances with colder weather, a little bit rainy and no wind whatsoever, and then you've still got a lot of condensation building up inside the tent despite these giant ventilation openings. But on a day like this, with especially the ground that's drained very well and some wind, there is hardly any condensation going on. What also helps prevent condensation is basically a footprint under the tent, and Fjällräven does sell a footprint for this tent, but only underneath the inner tent, not also with the vestibules or with the awnings included. And especially in Dutch circumstances, or a lot of European countries probably, when you're camping on grass, then also a footprint on the awnings to cover basically the whole print of the whole tent is way more better, because that prevents a lot of condensation from the ground, from the grass breathing. So that's something that I would like to see with this tent, but most manufacturers, they don't make these kind of footprints anymore. So make yourself one, maybe from a material of Tyvek, or maybe just some plastic material that we use in the garden. Now that is about the ventilation and the condensation. And now I think I've said everything that I need to say about the Abisko Friluft 2 from Fjällräven. So now let's head on to my verdict. But before I head on to my verdict, I would like to say a big hands-on for Fjällräven, who enabled me to lend this tent for I think almost a year, or maybe a little bit over a year, because only in a longer period of time and more testing I can have a good verdict on a tent. And not every brand thinks this way, because most of the time you can have something for a week or 2 weeks and then I just don't want to review them. So Fjällräven, thank you so much, and you will get it back soon after this review is published. Now my verdict. As you might have heard in the whole story by now, there's one thing that I don't like about this tent, and that means it's not my type of tent. And that's the way that it pitches like a tent from the US. The inner tent first with the poles and then the fly sheet over it. I like camping with bad weather as well, and then basically a tent that you can pitch with the outer tent and the inner tent simultaneously, or the outer tent first and then the inner tent in there. For me that is a smart choice for how I do my outdoor camping stuff. Does that make the Fjällräven Friluft 2 a bad tent? No, not at all, because this might be just that type of tent for you. What I do like is the way that it is pretty easy to pitch. And of course what I don't like is the fact that those Velcro loops are there, and that is a hassle to connect them to the poles, but you need to do this, and once you've done it once, you will get used to it. You need to make a routine out of this. Then on the poles itself, if you make color-coded things, then also make one pole, at least at the ends, color-coded, because that makes more sense when you pitch a tent when it's dark or in bad weather. What I do like is the fact that Fjällräven, of course, makes this tent out of excellent materials, and that the tent is totally PFAS-free. And if you've got this choice, well, that would be my choice. The inside space of the inner tent for 2 adults that are not too big, it's absolutely fine, but don't think that you can put a lot of luggage in there because that's just not possible. Also, a few pockets more on the inside would be appreciated. Now, if we're talking about the awning space, it is quite limited. The backpack that I'm having here, it's not the biggest one, but it fits in there. My wife's backpack is on the other side, so for the 2 of us this is absolutely fine. But if you are a biking couple, for example, and you've got 4 panniers each and maybe even a pannier on the handlebar, then this tent is too small for that. Now, like I've shown you, the entry to the inner tent with that huge door is absolutely fantastic, and I also like the mesh, so you have got a fantastic panoramic view even if you are inside the tent. The outer door, that can be a hassle sometimes if you are a bit bigger than I am, because then it's quite low. What I also don't like is the fact that the zipper of the door in the outer tent, it is a 2-way zipper, but I cannot use the zipper on top from the outside. You need to do this from the inside. And when you are connecting that middle pole, it would be quite smart if you've got a toggle on the outside as well. I already said something about ventilation and condensation. In these kind of circumstances, when there is wind and when the soil is absolutely dry, the condensation is absolutely very limited. But in the Netherlands and on some other places where we've used this tent, with wet grass under colder circumstances and no wind, there is a huge amount of condensation building up in this tent, and then the ventilation is not that great. What is great about this tent, of course, is that you can use the inner tent as a solo tent. So when it's weather like this, ditch the outer tent and enjoy the night and the stars with a lot of ventilation and being totally aware of everything that's going on around you, except from mosquitoes entering your tent and your body, because that's something that we definitely do not like. Now, the tent has proven to be totally waterproof and also pretty windproof, more than you would expect because of those high arches on the outer tent. It is quite windproof as well. Last but not least, the price. In Europe, this tent retails for €895.95. And in pounds, it retails for 810 pounds. In dollars, well, I wouldn't know because I could not find a dollar price. So I guess this tent is not for sale in the US. Although I do not like everything about this tent, I do rate it at 8.1 points out of 10 total. Now, I really hope you liked this review, and if you did, then please give it a like and consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, because with more of you, it's more fun for me to make these kind of reviews. And many thanks in advance if you do. If you like the outdoor and you like these kind of reviews and you're looking for more equipment, then please take a look at the other stuff that I review, and I'll put a link below in the description on my outdoor gear favorite playlist. One of the things that will be featured in the future is the backpack that I'm having here, because that one is also on loan from Fjällräven already for about a year, and I've been using it on different locations, so that review will be there shortly as well. If you are more into tents and you did subscribe to my YouTube channel, then don't forget to hit the notifications button as well, because I will be releasing a new Hilleberg tent as well very shortly. So if you like that kind of stuff, then please do. If you're more interested in camera gear, then maybe you should check out the Ulanzi travel tripod review that I did a while ago, because that one is beneath my main camera, which is a Sony FX30. So if you like watching more of the gadgetry stuff, I'll put that link in the playlist as well. And if you're curious about my shoes, just let me know in the comment section, because I never done a review on them, and maybe I should, but I should say as well, they are bloody expensive. And on that bombshell, I would like to say, enjoy the outdoors and stay safe. Ciao, ciao! And my dear, who's sitting behind the camera, can push the off button now. Because I think we're pretty well done